Some people like to climb mountains. I like to build planes. Some people like to climb mountains. Some people like to climb mountains. I like Some people like to climb mountains.
What if you can create your own website by saying, this is what I want? With Wix, you can.
It's all about...
Some people like to climb mountains. I like to build planes in the air.
Hello? Can everyone hear me okay? Great. Okay, we're going to start in about 2 to 3 minutes. So we're just making sure the audio was set up correctly. So feel free to get donuts, pretzels, popcorn, use the restroom is out to the left, and we'll get started 2 or 3 minutes, okay?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. I feel like a teacher, although I didn't do the clap, but. Just wanted to let you all know we're going to get started in about 5 minutes. So if you haven't already done so, if you want to grab a donut, a little snack back there, I think there's pretzels and popcorn, or if you need to get water, the restrooms are down the hall to the left, whatever you need to do. But we'll be getting started in about 5 minutes. Great to see you all. Good morning again. I like it. Thank you. You're funny.
Good morning. Good morning. I need a little better than that. Good morning. See, now I really am a teacher. All right. Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much. I really appreciate. We just gave people a little bit more time because I know there was a little crazy traffic out there, but thank you all so much for being here this morning. I may have already gotten a little bit of a arm twisting that people like this space so much that we may want to come here a little bit more often. So we're going to see. We can travel different places. This was not for maybe the right reason why we're traveling here, which I'll get to in a minute, but hopefully everything works out really well. As we're going through, please, if you need to step out and use the restroom, get more food back there. We really hope this is a really great meeting today. And I just have 3 things I want to share back with you. Number one, there is a reason why we're in person. I know we all love a good Zoom, a good Teams call, but I just want to say sometimes we just need to be in person. Sometimes we need to be sitting across from each other. I know we do have 2 people online. Hi, Michael and Patty. But sometimes we just need to be in person. There's some things we want to cover today that it is just going to be easier for us just to be right here in real time with each other, okay? So that was really intentional. The second piece is I know some of you do not like to have assigned seats. I get it. We didn't like that in school sometimes or anywhere else. But today, because of some of the ways we're going to be collaborating, that's why you're in these groups. So get to know some other people at your table. And then sometimes you're going to be able to sit with just who you want to. Other times you're going to mix and mingle. So thank you for being flexible today. The third thing, and some of you that were at the office yesterday would have heard a very similar thing, but I think it's really important to have the same messaging, as Quentin always tells me, the same messaging to people at varying times. So you received a message yesterday that we had a little incident at the office, and let me just tell you what we know and what we're doing, and then if people have any other questions, please feel free. So yesterday, there were probably about 30 of us that were at the office yesterday around 11 a.m., and our fire alarm went off. And for some of you that may have been with us for a while, many times our fire alarm goes off and it's nothing. Well, this time it was something. And so what it was, and let me tell you how this all happened. So each year, each quarter, we have preventative maintenance that happens on our HVAC system. So that's your air, cooling, and heating kind of piece, okay? So each of you, a lot of times, maybe in the fall, you say, oh, I'm going to turn my heat on for the first time. You kind of get sometimes a little smell, that kind of thing that happens. So when they were turning on our furnace, and it's a very large one, just think of what it takes to heat and cool our entire building. So when they were doing that and starting to turn it on for the first time, when they did that, there was some debris and some dust on top of it. It immediately started to smoke, and as you can imagine, in an HVAC system, that quickly went into all of our ducts and everything very quickly, and that's why smoke just started to fill our building. They, at this time, do not think there was any kind of fire or anything. They think it was just because of that. But for any of you that were there, it was a whole lot of smoke really quickly and very scary. So at that time, a couple of things to know. I've talked back with the fire department multiple times. We also had both of our property managers out there. They did an entire sweep of our entire building. We are having Woodard out there who is going to see if we would need to do anything else for the smell of smoke on our carpets, on any of our furniture, that kinds of pieces. They're coming to look at our elevators today and get them back up and running because a lot of times, they have to go down during any kind of fire drill. And so we feel really confident that everything should be fine as of Thursday. Some of us had to stay there for a while longer yesterday. Our sprinklers did not go off, and I would say that is good news because that could have potentially ruined all of our laptops. But I know someone else asked the question of, oh my gosh, our sprinklers didn't go off. Actually, it hadn't hit the heat temperature that it would need to for those to go off. Our sprinklers do work, so if there would have been a larger fire. So I don't want people to be like, is that concerning? Not concerning. So I just really want to say that's like what we know, how it was handled. I cannot thank you all enough, the people that were there, because I know it was a little scary. I'll be honest, I was scared. We were all a little concerned, but I just really appreciate everyone being just really flexible. We could just ask if you need to go back and grab anything, that is certainly fine. But we should be able to get back into the building tomorrow for full usage, unless we tell you differently. I have a call later today with our property manager. So I just wanted everyone to hear the same thing, because I think what you can hear is there was a massive fire and things are ruined and that kind of thing. It's like the telephone game. That is truly what happened, and that's the way it was handled. So any other questions or clarifications you'd like for me to give? And I know for some of you that were out in the parking garage, you're like, I already heard that, but I do think it's important for everyone too. And last but not least, thank you, Kobe, for making us laugh yesterday. I really appreciated that. We needed a little comic relief after a little bit of that. So thank you. Always good. Sometimes at the right timing, a good comic relief is always helpful. Awesome. All right, anything else? Okay, so I am gonna turn it over to Kate for a quick shout outs for birthdays and anniversaries, and then we'll move on to HR update, and then we'll get into really the meat of the meeting. So thank you all very much.
Wow. All right. We're going to do this a little bit differently this time because we have so many anniversaries to celebrate from August and September. If you see your name on that list, I would ask you to stand. Keldon, Sarah, Leon, Sydney, Yasmin, Mary, Rachel, Raven, Madeline, Liz, Vernon, Megan, Amanda, Linda, Bruce. All right, this is my favorite thing that happens at Cheers to the Years. If we add up all of those years, any guesses how many total years of service? A lot. A lot equals for August and September 126 years of service. That's a lot of mentoring relationships made, sustained, and lives changed. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. And we have birthdays. I think I started it off August 2nd, and we have a lot of August and September birthdays. If you see your name on there, I will do you the pleasure of not singing, but go ahead and stand up and we'll give you a shout out. Hannah, Jaqueen, Danielle, Vernon, Bradford, Theron, Kamaya, Rachel, Santella, Carrie, and Danielle. Happy birthday. All right, Sarah's up.
Okay, hello again. We'll keep the party started. Keep it going, right? It started, so we're gonna keep it going. But we're gonna talk about all of our new hires. So if you see your name up there, please stand so that we can say welcome again. So we have Dwayne and we have Carl and we have Michael. Oh my goodness, and Ashley and Tony. So Tony's not here today. However, we still want to say welcome to him. And Michael is online. So you can't see him, but he's there. So you all shout out really well for him as well. Okay? All righty. So now we're going to talk about some upcoming dates for you all. And Ashley is up next. We have a lot going on, don't we?
And then I'll just bring my thing and set it up here. So first thing, just wanted to quickly talk about 25th anniversary. We are celebrating 25 years in Cape. 25 years ago, we opened an office there. So there'll be lots more to come, lots of activities, but this week specifically, we're having a ribbon cutting tomorrow, thanks to Brittany. She's been coordinating a ton of stuff going on, but we'll have special guests and a lot of cool things happening tomorrow to really kick off a full year of things that are happening. So if you see the Cape team, help. If there's an opportunity, come down. We'd love for you all to come down and join us in some of the things that we're doing, because it will be a full year of ways to celebrate with lots of publications and things like that. But we're kicking it off tomorrow, and then I'll throw it to Kristen.
Thanks, it's Ashley. So as you can see up here, just as a reminder, the two events that are coming up, we're calling them the Game Changers events. And I think what's just really cool about this, as you all remember, the Mizzou basketball team and Coach Dennis Gates, their head basketball coach, will be heading on over next Friday. This was set up actually by a board member that set all this up for us. I think a couple of really cool highlights is we will have up to 50 of our youth from throughout our programs that will be able to have a basketball clinic at Whitfield School. Thank you to Madeline and her whole committee that's helping plan that. And I think what's really cool about this is it could have just been Coach Gates showing up and doing the, hey, how you doing? And instead what he said is he's like, we are coming over and I'm bringing my entire basketball team. So there will be between 10 and 12 basketball players, including their two captains, make sure I don't get their names wrong, Mark Mitchell and Anthony Robinson III. These men are amazing, really excited to come over. So each of our youth that are involved with this will literally get to play basketball with the Mizzou basketball team, which is pretty darn cool. They're gonna have photos with them, et cetera. So really neat. And then this, from there, some of the basketball players and Coach Gates will then be coming to a donor event at Old Warson Country Club, which has actually been hosted by another one of our board members, Chris Lewis. And so we will have between 100 and 125 of our donors and potential donors come and be able to hear from Coach Gates. And I think some of you, I've shared this information, but again, I think this is the heart of what and why we do things. Coach Gates was in the Big Brothers Big Sisters program growing up, and it has been so impactful in his life that he said, I want to continue to give back to a Big Brothers Big Sisters agency, and has really taken our agency under his wing and said, hey, you bring a group of donors together and I will tell them how important mentoring is. So he's gonna be doing a fireside chat with one of our other board members, Vito Bracey, who he's very good friends with. And so we're really excited about both those events. And again, I think this is just really showing how we don't just show up for our donors, our partners, we show up for everyone, for our youth and going to our schools and that kind of thing. So we're really excited about both of those. And thanks to everyone that's already really helped make that come to life, and it'll be next Friday. And I will turn it over to Kate next.
Okay, is everyone enjoying the singing to the adjacent of us? I am, man. Sometimes you need a little bit of that in your life. Okay, this one, here's what we know. We're gonna keep that theme going. October 2nd in anew. And we are grateful that we have had a long-time big brother who has chosen to continue mentoring two amazing young people and then become a board member for us that happens to be starring in a major Hollywood production that is celebrating community coming together and, as it says, celebrating mentorship. That's happening just down the street on October 2nd, and the red carpet premiere is happening at St. Paul Hall. We want to do something up and anew to celebrate community, to celebrate mentoring relationships. So still work in progress, but think of last Thursday, 2 Thursdays ago, the fun we had up in there, literally same DJ, same caterer, we're gonna try to do that. So think of a good time and celebrating mentorship. So we're still putting the details together, honestly, if I can just be real honest with you all. So look for more to come, but put the date on your calendar because we wanna celebrate you and your great work and amazing mentors and amazing community members that make all of this possible. More to come.
And in celebrating community, we're gonna celebrate our own community. So we're having our own private screening of Soul on Fire on October 8th. It's already on your calendar, I do believe, because it's part of our all-staff meeting. And so we're gonna have a different type of meeting then as well, that we're gonna come together and not only celebrate mentorship, which is wonderful, great, and the work that we do, but we're gonna also look at the individual. John O'Leary, how he overcame all those obstacles and how he was triumphant, and the people that were in his life that mentored him, that encouraged him, and that helped him reach a level that he didn't think was possible. And that's the work that we do, helping others reach that level. So we're gonna watch the movie. We're going to AMC St. Charles Theater, so you'll get more details about that. And we're also going to have lunch together. It's our time to come together as a community, to network, to get to know each other a little bit better outside of the walls of work. And we will have lunch at Quint Essential Dining, which is in St. Charles. So we're going to stay in the St. Charles area. And we look forward to seeing all your happy, smiley faces there. Thank you. And now, Heidi, oh, there you are. I was like, where'd she go?
Good morning, everyone. I am here to talk about our Topgolf Takeover. It is happening November 13th, 6 to 8 p.m. at the Chesterfield location. If you're newer here and it's not on your calendar, please make sure it's on your calendar. This is our second largest fundraising event where we take over the top 2 floors of Topgolf. That's about 400 people that we'll bring together, a mix of corporate and individual donors, program participants, us, community partners. It's a great time. I love it because it's a nice, small, intimate, cool, fun vibe venue. Did I get all that? And so it's awesome. Feedback from last year was most of you were like, oh, it's a work event. And then you got there and realized, wow, it's over already. That was so much fun. So while working the event is not mandatory, I am going to be asking about 40 to 45 of you to please sign up. I need to get through the Coach Gates event next Friday, and after that, I swear, we are on for Topgolf. So be looking for more information, and if you're putting it on your calendars fresh, just know when you're signing up, I'm asking you to commit to 5 to 9 p.m., and as the event gets closer and details get locked in, I hope to shorten that time for you, but for now, please just know that's what I'm asking, and so more to come. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Next. How do I work this, Sarah? Green. Okay. All right. Sorry. A little delay in. Okay. So this is the meat of the meeting that we're getting to, okay? A couple of the things just to set the stage for like what this next 30, 45 minutes will be like is that we want to talk a little bit about how we want to move forward with strategic collaboration, and what we are thinking about as a leadership team as far as strategic direction for our agency, okay? So we're gonna start with a little bit of the like, why? Why are we having this conversation? We're gonna talk about what does it mean? And then we wanna talk about how do we think that together we can get there, okay? The biggest thing that we want you all to take away from this conversation is that it will literally take all of us. It will take all of us. We all have really, really important roles in this agency. We hope what you hear today will be things that you continue to hear over the course of time, and we're committed to figuring out how we can continue to communicate when things are rolling out and when things are happening, okay? So this is the first of many, 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 many conversations that you will be involved in as we think about how we continue to move forward, okay? So, why? Why are we having this conversation? Why do we need to think about strategic direction? Why do we need to think about maybe doing things different? Here's a couple things. Over the past 10 years, we've changed. We've evolved. We aren't just one program. 100 years ago, when Big Brothers Big Sisters was created in St. Louis, we were one-to-one mentoring programs, right? And that was really appropriate and really meaningful for that period of time. As we have continued to learn and grow, the first place that we started to innovate was in Big Futures, knowing that we had to serve youth past age 18, right? We started that 10 years ago. And for all intents and purposes, that's a paid mentoring program, right? We have staff who are waking up every day and we pay them as a job responsibility to work with our young people. ABC Today, it came along, right? We've innovated a lot in that space. It's not the same as even when we started it 15 years ago. Then we think about 2020. we started to think about group mentoring, right? We started to think about how do we do that? How do we do it different? And then we said, even group mentoring isn't enough for some of our young people. We need to think about something else. And upward mentoring has been born from that. We believe that we'll continue to change. How we are today is most likely how we're not gonna be in 20 years too. We have to think about how we continue to evolve, how we have to continue to adapt, not just to mentoring, but as societal shifts happen, right? We've talked a lot about some of the things happening in our society right now and how we have to continue to think about and be on top of those things. And so because of that, we know that this innovation and expansion has forced us a little bit to say, hey, wait a second. We haven't really stopped to think about how we need to change the structure of our agency, our practices, our procedures, the things that we do that we know make mentoring work, right? Think about things like enrollment. Think about things like support. Those things have just stayed the same, and we've sort of adapted them within each department. And now we have to stop and think about how do we do that to create really great efficiencies and effectiveness for our outcomes? Because at the end of the day, outcomes are really, really important to all of us, right? So our program directors have been meeting with us as a leadership team for about a year to think about what are we really trying to do here? Now that we're not just one-to-one, how do we really think about where's the through line? What are we all trying to do? And there's some really great similarities. We're all trying to help kids be successful, right? And we believe that we may just get to those outcomes in a little bit of a different way through each of the ways that we're delivering mentoring. How we do it in group mentoring looks different because it's in schools. How we're doing it with volunteers looks different because we're leveraging volunteers, right? So we're really trying to stay focused on what are we trying to do? What are our outcomes and how do we make sure we're clear about our outcomes and that each of our mentoring streams are set up and supported so they can deliver those outcomes for young people in our community, because that's why we should be waking up every day, right? It's for the young people that we're really trying to impact. What we also believe will be important in this is that as we start to navigate through some of the things that we believe might have to shift and change within our agency, it will set us up for future. So that as we continue to think about, oh, we might need to do this different, or heck, we know the national office is talking about ways that they're adapting and ways they're changing, right? So as they bring things to us to say, hey, why don't you all consider potentially this new program, or there's a agency in Milwaukee doing this program, we think it would be amazing. We'll set our agency up for future iterations of innovation too. So these are all things that we're continuing to think about. The last thing that we really think our why is that we have to think about where we've been and also where we're going. So we've been working with a strategic partner for a while, the leadership team has. And one thing that she does really well, her name's Leslie Peters, is that she listens. So she sits and she'll ask us questions and she'll write things down and then she'll come back and she'll be like, here's what I heard. And there was something really, really impactful that she shared with us that we want to share with you, that she heard from us, and what she calls the Big Brothers Big Sisters timeline. Now, this will resonate with some of you because you've been here a while. People who were here before the pandemic, this will probably be like, yes, this feels right. People who are just new, you don't know anything different. But here's sort of what she took from us, is that before the pandemic, for those of us who were here, we sort of knew how we were working. We had a plan. We'd get up every day and say, if we could just go do these things, we can recruit volunteers, we can match kids, and we can be sustainable as an agency, right? We got this. This feels right. And then we had the pandemic, and it really shifted everything. It shifted things in your personal life, even if you weren't here, I'm sure. But if you were here, it was just about maintaining stability. You probably heard a lot. We're trying to stabilize staff, and we're trying to stabilize our families and young people. We're just trying to stay above water. But coming out of that, right, You probably heard, this is the new normal, right? This is the way that we're gonna continue to do things. And now we're starting to realize that we're gonna have to shift. And there's gonna have to be some things that we continue to do to be relevant, to continue to be experts in the mentoring field, right? Big Brothers Big Sisters is considered an expert in the mentoring field from all of the research that's been done. And we know that's gonna take adapting. And that's sort of where we see ourselves now, in this adapting approach. And what we believe it's gonna take is for us to get on board with, like, we can get ready for whatever's coming our way, right? And we know that what it's gonna take is cohesion, collaboration, and really amazing communication. So that's what we're gonna talk about today, this line at the end, work from a cohesive program model that gives us a foundation to adapt to ever-changing circumstances. Leslie gave us that, and it resonated with us. Like, yes, this is what we have to do. This is how we have to rally our agency to get behind how we continue to move forward. So I hope that sets the stage for why we're having this conversation and really what we believe. We don't have all of the answers figured out. Kate's gonna talk a little bit about like, what does that mean? And then we're gonna talk a little bit about the how we believe we can get there again. So thank you for being a part of this conversation. Thank you for staying engaged in this with us, because as I mentioned before, and I will continue to say, it will take all of us, okay?
Thanks, Ashley. That was a great start to why we're in this portion of the meeting. So now, who knows what a cohesive program model exactly looks like? Yep, us too. That's what we got to figure out together. And I want to share with you a little bit about that's the what, right? So Ashley just talked to us, why are we even doing this? And now what exactly are we going to do? We need to build that. We want to build an intentional future. Last week, 2 weeks ago, we heard from the national office. Last week, we had a meeting with first the mentoring program directors, and then we had a meeting with all of the management team to practice this PowerPoint, really. Some in their journey, as we've talked about in different trainings, that we all need to work on self-awareness. Part of trying to be more self-aware is to surround yourself, they say, surround yourself with loving critics. And that's what we did last week. We surrounded ourselves with loving critics in the mentoring program director meeting and in the manager meeting. Both times, they said, I don't understand what you're saying, Kate. That makes no sense. And I appreciate it, because they assumed positive intent. They assumed I wasn't trying to just gloss over something or not tell you good stuff, but they were real and said, I don't get it. All right, so I'm working. And I'm now in a room of, 60 loving critics today. So if you don't get it, tell me. It doesn't make sense. I don't understand what you mean by a cohesive program model, Kate. That's weird. All right, so if you know me, Erica and I both love analogies. So I was trying to think of an analogy before I get into this. So I will try not to go off the range. I did not test this one out, so this is risky, y'all. All right, how many of you have heard of Netflix? Raise your hand. Okay, raise your hand. How many of you have heard of Blockbuster? Okay, so I want to talk about Netflix and Blockbuster, and I want to talk about their what, and when they talk about the system and reorienting their system. I certainly did not graduate from Harvard Business School, but I think a quick observer would say a challenge Blockbuster had is they didn't reorient their system. They were both interested, both companies were built for home entertainment, right? So that you could enjoy a movie from your couch. And Blockbuster, wow, they were a blockbuster. Started in 1984, really, really hit their stride in 1994. You betcha I was there on Friday night, line out the door, waiting to get my fresh copy of whatever movie I was watching at the time. And they had those snazzy uniforms, the blue polos and the khakis. And they were done, right? They didn't reorient their system. Netflix started in 1997. Many of you may not know they've been around since 97, and they started by mail. I don't know if any of you did that program with Netflix. And you got DVDs in the mail, and you could get, I don't know, I remember I didn't do it by mail, but I do it at home now. You could get 8 at a time, and then you returned them, all that kind of good stuff. In 2007, 10 years later, they moved to streaming, and they made it accessible. In 2013, they started producing original content. They're still going. 2021, they introduced gaming into their system. So they're continuing to stay committed to home entertainment, and they're reorienting their system to figure out what the consumer wants. So I'm hoping that maybe helps cohesive program model make a little more sense. And I'm not here to roll out a new entertainment system. Everyone knows I'd be out the door quicker than I could get in it. I have no business doing that. But I am interested, as old as I am, in trying to figure out a new way. Because I know there are foundational parts, as we talk about what we need to do to reorient, that I do believe that there are some really great building blocks that we have. I totally nerd out, and I'm going to use terms that please keep asking if you've not heard these, a service delivery model. That when we use that term, that means that there's some basic foundational blocks to get us to where we need to be. And that we want to do 2 things. First, we want to have a cohesive system. That does not mean it's going to be exactly the same for all of our mentoring programs. I do not believe we should have everything exactly the same, but it should be different on purpose, not because we didn't think about it. It should be different because we said, you know what? When Michelle sits down and interviews a young person to be a part of a group mentoring program or a site-based one-on-one program or a community-based volunteer program, there's some similar blocks, but what we need to tell a parent because a volunteer, a stranger is going to come to their door every other Saturday is different than what we need to tell a parent if their kid's going to be pulled out of reading every Wednesday. And that's important. So let's be different on purpose, not because we oopsed into it. But that is kind of some of innovation of like, oh yeah, we should get to that real quick. So that's one example of a foundational block. I'm sorry, I'm all bent over here. So the other piece is consistent services. Again, different on purpose, but let's make sure we're grounding this in our values of what experience do we want our parents, our young people, and our mentors to have. Consistent, not exactly the same. Because a youth goes to Memphis with a group mentoring program doesn't mean that now every youth needs to go to Memphis in the next 2 months, right? No, we're gonna have different experiences, but we need to be grounded in a commitment of this is how we're going to serve parents, and here's how they need to be able to access us no matter what program they're in. Here's how they need to know how they can get a hold of us. Here's what a young person's voice should be incorporated through the different parts of our program. So those are pieces that I think most of us can rally behind and say, yeah, let's do it. Now it gets to the nitty-gritty, right? And saying, but how? What does that mean? Let's look at that enrollment form. Becky and Kaylin and I were looking at it last Thursday to say, let's look at what the interview form is for a young person, and can it work for group mentoring, site-based and community-based? Now we need to keep bringing everybody into it, right? As we make these decisions to say, we've got to go and we've got to commit to these areas. Now we got to go together, and we all got to be pushing in the same direction, otherwise we fan out. And we cannot be consistent, and we don't respect, that's not the right word, I apologize. We don't have a foundation to base it on, right? So that's where we're trying to like say, this is that foundation. All right, I'm getting off track. Okay, so What's actually happening, some shifts are in motion right now. I just gave the example. Becky, Kaylin, and I just met last week about how we enroll a group mentoring youth. Does that mean Leon has been doing it wrong? Absolutely not. It means, man, we have bundled. Where does it make sense to unbundle? It will take time to figure that out, and it will come in some waves. And so for those of you that are hoping to write down a specific date and a specific timeline, I don't have that today. And I know that's frustrating for some of us and exciting for others and just in between for most of us probably. But we are trying to get this in motion in a sequential sense. So we made some changes in enrollment. Becky becoming the director of all enrollment, all region, by shifting some pieces with the recruitment department and really getting us ready to start to make some of these moves as we go along. Some will be dependent on each other, right? So how we enroll then means how we support and those things. So there is some untangling and some retangling that we need to do, and that's why we're having this conversation together today, so we can go forward and you're not like, why is this group meeting together? Hopefully that starts to make sense. But I'm still talking in generalities, and it's still not enough detail. I agree. I totally agree. So when will it happen? We anticipate between now and probably it'll take over the next 4 to 6 months, if I'm being honest, because it does take time, right? There's not just like, oh, everyone start doing this. We want to be intentional. We want to do this on purpose, and we want to do it together. What does that mean for you? What should you do today? Today, we should be here, be present in today's moment to listen to all this context we're trying to give you. And really where I'm going to pass the mic now to Sarah and Patty is they're going to help us talk about how we go about doing this. And they're going to, a sneak peek is really leaning into one of our values. And as much as we can concentrate there, that will allow us to move forward together. Because I don't have a specific thing you need to do today in terms of an action item or a to-do you need to add to your to-do list, except that listen to my great colleagues, Sarah and Patty, to help us think about how we prepare for this. And we'll talk more about how you can continue to understand what's happening at the end of our meeting. Sorry, I should have moved that part.
All righty, lots of great information, right? We received a lot of great information. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Kate. Okay, is that better? Pull it down? Is that better? Okay, I know I'm a shorty. Yeah, but that's, but at any rate, we're gonna move forward and talk about some things that really brings it back to us individually, to us as a team, to us as an agency, okay? So we're gonna be defining how we work, and we're gonna go back to our values and our mission and then talk about our culture as well. And we'll establish some guidelines on how we're gonna engage, how we're gonna move forward. And then we'll also pull it all together at the end, as Kate was referring to, okay? So why is collaboration important? Let's talk about that. Why is it important? And when you look at our purpose, which is to partner with young people in their pursuit of meaningful, stable, and independent life. That's a foundation for us. That's our purpose, right? And so when we think about collaboration, it's about how we approach our work, right? It's the how in everything. And it's an approach. It's not necessarily anything else that we may have heard in the past, but just think about it as how I approach my work, how I approach my day, how I approach my interactions with my internal and external customers, okay? Because it also starts to be the framework for how we think, how we act, and how we communicate. And it's an inside principle. It's an inside value. It's an inside job, so to speak, and it then extends outward. So when we think about our values, we're starting internally, and our values start with making sure that our youth are successful and how we go about doing that. It's not an individual thing, it's a team effort. It goes beyond an individual thing, I will say, because it starts as an individual, but then you go to your teams, you go to your departments, and then our agency as a whole. We all come together to make it happen. Okay? One of the things that I've often heard from quite a few folks within our agency, quite a few of our team members, is, I love my job. And that's an amazing thing. And with that said, that's what we want to build on. We want to capture that love and that joy in the work that we do. And we want to spread it within our agency. We want to spread it to our community, right? And so how do we go about doing that? I'm not saying we're not doing it now. Please don't take that as what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, how do we continue to build on it and go to the next level, okay? And with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Patty, and she's going to talk a little bit more about our best hopes and what we're looking for going forward.
Hi, Patty. You're about ready to go live. Okay, so did you mute your laptop so you can, and I'm gonna put you up to the speaker. Okay, 1 second, let's hope this all works out well. I'm phoning a friend. Okay. Remember how we said we're gonna be flexible? Look at that, look at that, look at that. Okay. All right, I think, Patty, everybody can hear you.
Okay, hi everybody, good morning. Hi everybody. Oh, thank you. So my slide is to talk about just our best hopes. I know a lot of people have known about like the 3 best hopes, but now we're thinking about what is our best hope as an agency. And we know the running theme for this morning has been about evolution. When we think about how Ashley talked about where we were in our programs in our 100-year history, Kate gave the great analogy about Netflix and Blockbuster. I was there too, Kate, getting clueless at my local Blockbuster. And we think about how it is all about us evolving as an organization and as an agency so we can best serve our young people. And so we've been through a lot together as an agency. We have quite a bit of people in the room that have been with us for a very long time. And then we have some people that just started a couple of weeks ago, like Carl and Michael and Ashley. And so we have the full gamut of tenure here. And so when we think about like where we were, we've grown a lot over the past 5 and 6 years. We went from around like 35, 40 people to now we have almost around 74 people here at the agency. So clap for each other, all the people that are around you and all the growth that we've had and all the wonderful new faces and new programs that we've had. And, you know, when we grow, whether it's growth of in our personal lives and professional lives, there are some growing pains. And so because we've had more programs and more employees and more leaders, shout out to the leadership team and our wonderful, fabulous leader, Kristen, we've also had some challenges too on the other side. With communication, you know, when you have more people, you're like, oh my God, it feels like you're playing telefax about some things. We also have perceptions. You know, people's perceptions of work in the workplace becomes their reality. And then we also talking about improving clarity. You know, we've talked a lot about how clarity is kindness. And sometimes because we have so many people in different mentoring programs, a lot of things can get bottlenecked or we can have certain roadblocks. And I don't think that's on purpose. You know, we all want to get our job done. We all want to work together and collaborate. We just need a little bit more clarity on how we should collaborate. And I love that Sarah and I will be talking about what that how looks like. And then sometimes it's just lack of trust. Not lack of trust because we don't like people, or sometimes it's that fear of the unknown. It's trust that I don't really know what this other person does, or I don't really know what what this program is. And so as we evolve, here is where we want to be. So we want clarity of roles. I know people love clarity. We love knowing what we're supposed to do. We know how to do it, and we have the tools so we can be able to do it well. And so we want a cohesive team. As we grow larger, we want everybody to be able to work together effectively. We want people to understand each and everything that people do. And the more we have that awareness and understanding, the more we build that empathy and compassion for others, and we can be able to have those conversations with each other. And we want to be united for the greater good. When we understand, when Sarah talked about the agency purpose, we are united for the purpose of our agency, for our mission, and for our values. And the greater good is the young people and the families and the volunteers that we partner with. And then also living our agency values. We have those 5 organizational values that you all, as colleagues, worked to make sure that we have fine-tuned and know what they look like. And we really want to make sure that as we continue to evolve to where we want to be and continue to move forward, that we are living out those values. And I'm going to pass it back to Sarah. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Patty. Thank you, Patty. She covered that so well, didn't she? Yeah. So let's stick with that a little bit. Let's stick with the how. You see those 3 circles there? Starts with the how, the why, which is in the center. You know, why we do what we do, what's our purpose. We've already talked about that. And then it extends out to how. And how is the process? How do we go about achieving our why? How are we going to do it? And then the what is actually the product of our why. It's the end result, right? It's the outcome. So we're going to spend a little bit more time about talking about our how and just focusing on collaboration, just a little bit more, because sometimes, you know, we need a good definition, right? And we'll start there, and that can propel us forward. So let's start with the definition. Oh, I moved us forward too fast. I'm going to back up. So Kristen is back there, but let me tell you a little bit about this before we click on this. Building the plane while we're flying it. Do you all recall hearing anyone saying that? All the time, right? And this has been around a long time. In my previous life, I was in aerospace. And this is a phrase that we use quite a bit, building aerospace parts for the planes. And so building the plane while we're flying it, it is really about innovation. It's about being creative. It's about being able to pivot on a dime and making sure that everything is working the way it should work. So let's bring this concept to life and view it and see what it really looks like sometimes.
Some people like to climb mountains. I like to build planes in the air.
I grew up wanting to be on a wing, wanting to be up this high.
Sometimes the temperature up at altitude will reach 60 below. It's brisk, it's refreshing.
You never know what you're going to come across up here. Canadian geese, mallards.
Owls.
These people back here, that's why I come to work. That's why I build airplanes in the sky.
We're not just building a plane here. We're building a dream.
I love this job.
I get a lot of thanks up here. When I look over there and I see that little kid, I look in his eyes, that's all the thanks I need.
And in a sense, that's what we do, right? In some cases. But that gives you a visual sometimes of what it might look like. It might look like it's a hairy situation and that we are making decisions on the fly, but in the end, it all works out. And what happens is our community, our youth, they get the benefit of all of that hard work and all of that effort and energy that's put into making the programs and the interactions and the resources exactly what they need. Okay? So with that in mind, let's move forward. And I'm going to turn it back over to Patty to talk about our agency values and culture. Remember, that's where we want to land. That's our foundation. And we're building from there and moving into collaboration.
All right, Patty, you're back.
All right.
Okay, I think you're good. You can speak now, Patty.
Okay, great. So I know a couple of slides ago when I talked about where we want to be, and we talked about the last part of living those agency values. These are our values. I know you've seen them on top of our all staff header. You've seen them on the website. They're anywhere, everywhere they can be. And so when we think about these agency values, and we'll talk about especially the one we succeed when we collaborate and communicate, these really shape the culture of our agency. And we think about that, the circle that you see, well, the three circles that you see, that really is how how you live out our culture. When we think about the middle circle, that's the team. Everybody in the agency is on a team, whether it's the one-to-one mentoring team, whether it's the mentoring operations team, the leadership team, the development team. Everybody has a team that they're on. And so when we think about how we live out those values and how we're accountable to each other as a team, and then we think about internally, that's almost kind of like our organization. Sarah has said it great with that. We all have internal customers. Sometimes we think about our customers are external, our participants, but we also have internal customers when we think about how we're accountable to each other, how we're living out the values, how we have our internal customers, whether we're working on teams, if you have to get something to someone, if you're on a committee or a project, these are all part of our internal culture. And then we have our external culture. That's the part of our participants. Those are families. Those are our schools, our partnerships, all those people that we live out our agency values with, and we continue to bring them into our culture and represent our culture when we interact with them. And I will pass it back to Sarah.
Thanks, Patty.
All righty, so with that said, we are moving into collaboration a little bit deeper. And so we're looking at our value of collaborate and communicate. And I'm sure you all have seen this multiple times because it's a part of how we define what collaborate and communicate is within our agency. And what we said is that we succeed when we collaborate and communicate. And through strong communication between our staff, mentors, youth, parents, board members, and partners, we build impactful connections. Relationship building is at the core of our work. Sound familiar? Okay. We provide opportunities for staff and program participants to express their experiences, to advance the organization, and make improvements to support our communities. We commit to building and sustaining effective collaboration throughout the organization. To do so, we must incorporate clear, inclusive communication in all of our efforts. And I know you all have seen this and you're familiar with it, but we just wanted to just spend a little time to revisit it and just let us sit in it for a minute and then move on, okay? And so what does that look like? What does it really look like? I have a definition for you on collaboration, and it comes from Korn Ferry. Korn Ferry is an organization that is built on development, right? They are there to help develop leaders. They're there to help develop individuals, to develop teams. They do a lot of research and work on professional development. Their definition of collaborates is building relationships and working collaboratively with others to meet shared objectives. Can we all agree that we have a shared objective? That was a little, Can we all agree that we have a shared objective? All right, yes. And that's a great place to start because we build on that with our values and then we move into collaboration. So what does that look like? We have the definition, but sometimes we go, well, I really don't know what that looks like. So what it looks like. And this particular chart, it just gives some information about what collaboration looks like when someone is skilled or when someone is less skilled. And then there's tips for development. I don't expect you all to remember this. You will get a handout. We have a few handouts for you this morning or this afternoon when we get to that part. And so, so you will have those, the handouts, so you can refer back to it, because this is a lot of information we're giving you, right? And so when you're looking at an indication that someone is less skilled, I'll just go over the top line. The person may overlook opportunities to collaboratively work with others, right? However, on the flip side is someone who is skilled and they see the value in working with others, right? And so, as I said, this goes from individual, and then we can look at a team, whether a team is working collaboratively. We can look at a department. We can look at the agency overall. Are we all making the effort to work collaboratively? So there will be times when we have to self-assess, right? And look at ourselves and go, where am I on this spectrum of collaboration? And where do I need to put in a little bit more time to develop? And what should that look like? And on this chart, at the very top, it says, think collaboration when you need to make a decision. So sometimes it's stepping back, and sometimes I just call it, let me take a beat. Let me think about that. Stepping back and thinking about, who can I bring into this conversation that will help me make the best decision? Me alone, I might not make the best decision, but if I'm working with 2 or 3 other team members, those decisions come to life. That best decision comes to life. Okay, it's working together. Putting together this meeting today was a collaborative effort because we had to pivot on a dime, right? Could one person do all of this on their own? No. But all of us coming together and working together, we end up in a beautiful space, and I think it's working well. Even with the technology, we have what we need, right? We do what we need to do. And so that's what collaboration will do for us. Also, the flip side of that is, what's the path forward for collaboration? If we're thinking about, okay, I think I need a little bit of this, a little bit of development, I need to become more aware of where I am on the spectrum of collaboration, and then what comes after that? What does it really look like? And if you look at the spectrum, it starts with turf. That's kind of where you're siloed, right? Or where we are siloed. And we're doing our own individual thing. We're competing against each other, that kind of thing. Now, I'm not saying I see that in the agency. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just giving an example, okay? But this is the spectrum. And then when you go across the spectrum and you get to the other side, it's the trust. Remember Kate mentioned about trust, but Patty mentioned about trust. And you get to trust of fully integrated programs, planning and funding, whatever the case may be, you're fully integrated with collaborations so that every part of the planning, every part of the program, there's some interaction. There's some discussions that are happening. There's no one working on their own, making decisions and moving forward, right? And I'm not saying that every time you have a meeting, you gotta have a consensus, you gotta have 10 people agreeing, but there are plenty of opportunities where we need to have that kind of interaction, where we need to have that kind of discussion before we move forward, okay? This, again, we're gonna go into this a little bit more individually, and I'm gonna talk about that later and with teams, but actually, when you have the handout, take some time and look at it. Really think about where you see yourself individually, where you see your team, where you see your department. You know, are we coexisting? Are we communicating effectively, right? And communicating effectively is not only about saying the words, but it's also about listening, right? And listening for understanding. That's a little different from listening to respond, right? And so we want to think about that. Whether we're cooperating, whether we are coordinating and collaborating is the very end before we get to integration. So spend some time with that, and I'm going to circle back to this a little later on, but just wanted to introduce the concept and for us to start thinking about where we are on this spectrum, okay? So let's bring collaboration to life. And what we're going to do is play a little game. And so before we do that, I have an introduction for you. And Kristen's going to play the introduction so we all know what this game is about.
As an owner of Walton Goggins goggle glasses, I know how to make slick-looking goggle/glasses. But I have no idea how to make slick social media-styled stuff to sell.
It's all about innovation. Introducing Disruptus, a game designed to open every mind. Not your usual card game. Disruptus draws inspiration from disruptive thinking, going beyond the obvious to form new ideas. Disruptive thinking ignited innovations such as digital music, camera phones, and car-sharing programs. Well, now it's your turn. Be crazy with Disruptus. Be outrageous. Come up with original ideas by creating, improving, transforming, and disrupting the natural way of thinking. Here's how it works. Roll the die to see whether you'll create, imagine a new object or idea, improve, make the object better, transform, use the object for a different purpose, or disrupt, come up with a completely different way to achieve the same purpose. On your turn to create, flip over 2 cards. Can you use parts of both objects to create something new? Yeah. Even better, chop up the spokes, unravel the rope, and make a necklace from spokes and a rope. Let your creative side take over and dream up unique innovations, but do it fast. You have 1 minute to devise the most creative and original idea based on your image cards. Transform a paperclip to unclog a bottle of glue. Transform a staircase into a bookcase, or a high-heeled shoe into a door knocker. Disrupt the obvious by concocting special contact lenses that photograph images with a wink of an eye. The sky's the limit to what you can imagine. Disruptus even includes simpler rules for younger players. Who are the next greatest inventors, entrepreneurs, and startups? Those who are taught innovation and to think beyond the obvious. In school today, children are rarely taught how to create, improve, transform, or disrupt something. Disruptus can change that. Even outside the classroom, Disruptus helps ambitious companies ensure their employees stay fresh. By practicing how to innovate, one can make the leap to create something amazing. Are you ready to give your brain a workout and imagine the next greatest invention? Give it a try. Play Disruptus today.
Okay. So how many of you have heard of Disruptus? What? Yay! So, it's a great game, you know, and when I think about innovation, when I think about collaboration, because we all need to work together to get to that next great idea, I just kind of think about companies that I think happen to be disruptors and are great inventors and collaborators. Can you all think of at least one company? Which one? Amazon. Why did you choose Amazon? Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're pulling a lot of different things, right? And there's got to be some collaboration and innovation going on there in order to make it work. For me to get a package in a day, I don't know where it's coming from, but I get it in a day. That's pretty cool. One more. Any others? Who said Apple? Yes, Apple. And why did you say Apple? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. They roll out a new product, it seems like every 6 months in my mind. Because I'm like, okay, I have an iPhone, it's probably an iPhone, don't laugh, 11, and I'm going to keep it until it breaks. I just refuse, you know. But the whole key to that, though, is they're not sitting there waiting to think, okay, what's the next best thing that's coming down the pike? They're creating the next best thing, right? And so let's get our minds in that kind of, I would say, lens. It might be there already, but let's get our creative juices flowing, right? Even more, and seeing how we can utilize our creativity, our innovative thoughts. And once we play the game, what I would ask is that you take that a little step farther and introduce it to your team. Have those conversations, those innovative conversations, thinking outside the box, whatever the case may be. and putting it out there and being heard. So before we get started, let me start with a few ground rules here. I say ground rules, but just expectations. How about that? And what it is when we think about collaboration now, today, in this space, and moving forward, is that we want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to share input and make it better. You know, sometimes I'll speak about me. In the past, I didn't always speak up. I would just sit there, right? And I'd listen and thinking everybody else's idea was much better than mine, and I'd never say anything. Until one of my leaders said, "We want to hear your voice. Please speak up. And if you are a little shy about speaking up, be the first one to speak up. And then let everyone else come in." And that's what I started doing. I started speaking up first. And then I gained a little bit more confidence over the years. Now I speak up whenever, okay? But that's how you do it. You start small, and then you keep going. And then you want to listen. You want to listen to everyone's input. And then you want your voice to be heard as well. Ask questions, but the questions are based on seeking clarity and understanding, right? Because we want to pull each other in versus keeping each other out. We believe in belongingness, right? So we want everyone to be heard, we want everyone to be seen, and we want everyone to have a voice at the table, okay? And then be solution focused, right? We want to make sure that we're thinking of the end, have the end in mind when we're thinking, right? I think it was, I forgot his name, Stephen Covey. You know, think of the end. Have that in mind when you are collaborating, when you are having discussions, and when you are working through a problem to get to the solution. Think about the end first and then work backwards. And then assume positive intent, right? Give grace and space, because when we assume positive input or positive intent, our lens changes a little bit more. You know, we open up a little bit more. We tend to open up a little bit more. So that would be our expectations for not only this activity, but even moving forward, okay? So now we're going to create, and I'm going to ask Kate and Ashley to help me pass out these cards. And I ask that you keep the cards face down, number one, until we start the game, okay? And so each table will receive 2 cards. You can just, however you want to pull, dish them out, 2. So, what I'm going to, okay, we have a few people. Oh, you're going to get some snacks. That's good, okay. So, please keep your cards turned face down. Do not turn them over yet. Please keep your cards face down. Please keep your cards face down. I'll wait till everyone is seated, and then we'll get ready to go. Does every table have 2 cards? Every table has 2 cards? Okay, great. And Patty and Michael have 2 cards as well. Oh, I got more than one. Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay. So, are you all ready to play? Okay, so I'll wait until I have everyone's attention so everyone can hear all of the rules of the game. You ready? Okay. So using the 2 cards that are on your table, we ask that you take any elements from anything on those cards. I don't want to give anything away, so I'm going to try to stay generic. The picture that you have on your cards, you can take any element from that picture, and you can take those elements and create a new object or idea. Either way, okay? You will have, instead of 1 minute, like he said, since there's multiple people at the table, because what did we say about everyone being heard? We want everyone to be heard, right? We want to listen, right? So we're going to give you 3 minutes to come up with this amazing idea, okay? Any questions? Yes. Nope. You can pick and choose whatever you like. You don't have to use all the components. Break it apart, put it back together, however you choose. That's a great question. Thank you for asking that. Any other questions? Yes. Okay, the question was, can we make multiple items? Of course you can. Make as many as you can come up with if you like. Great question. Any other questions? Okay, so you are ready? All righty, I'm getting ready to start the timer, but you're not ready yet. So your 3 minutes starts now. Thirty seconds left. Time. Woo! I love all the discussion. That's awesome. All righty. Everyone have their new ideas? Their great new idea, innovative, ready to sell us? All right, okay. So who would like to sell us first? Oh my, I see a hand over there. Please come up to the microphone so those online can hear you.
Hi, folks. How are you? I'm Tyree Chapman, if anybody does not know me. But our table was table 10. Shout out to table 10. We collaborated, we chatted. Our subjects were a washing and or drying machine and an umbrella, okay? Lots of thoughts were shared. We talked about a lot of things, some of them even about these cards. But after 3 minutes, we talked about a service that you could have an app for on your phone to where it would be kind of a traveling laundry service. So you would order laundry to be done at your door, say at noon. It would show up at your door, a little robot laundry guy. If anybody's seen that, like at restaurants or the airport, right? So this is the little robot guy, rain or shine, shows up, right? He washes, he dries, he does all the things, he folds. So he comes to your doorstep, he does all your laundry, spick and span, wonderful, it's a great service. Download the app today. I don't know, but that was our idea.
That was amazing. Oh my goodness, I love it. That was amazing. Sign me up, because I have laundry that is overflowing this week, let me tell you. All righty, we have another great idea that we're going to be sold on.
Yeah, y'all definitely gonna be sold, but y'all gotta, have the gigabytes on your apps because, you gotta download the app too for this one too. So I thought it was a nice segue. But I'm on the fabulous table 6. Y'all raise your hand, represent, okay. And just like similar, but it's a machine-y thingy. I don't know what it is. It had a little arm, y'all, and a hanger. So similar, you're gonna teleport an outfit. So we thought real big, but you gotta have the app and you gotta download the app and you plug it up on the little machine-y thingy, that's what we're calling it. And as soon as you think of what you wanna wear, it'll go on your hanger, so, yeah.
Look at that innovation at work. Oh my goodness. Right. See how that works? Oh my gosh, we just keep building. So we have time. Oh, come on, Heidi. She like, we'll go Heidi and then we'll come to you all. And then, and then Zorian, and then we'll wrap up. Okay.
Okay, we had two that were just so good, we had to share both. So we had a traffic light and a bed. And as a mom, I shared input and we collaborated a lot and we listened to each other. This could be a great monster under the bed detector with a parent remote. Like, it's red, let me go check. Green, you're good to go to sleep.
So what I said was, a couple nights in my younger years, way younger, I was at the stoplight sleeping sometimes, right? Hence, chill, wait a minute, be open now, hence the bed. So my thing was, for my late night sleepers that's driving, unsafely, that when the light turns green, it's a sound. So versus a honk behind you that can startle you, it's a sound at the stoplight, say, hey, get up. It sounds crazy, I know, but look. Trust me. Have any of y'all drove trucks before? Truck drivers? I haven't, but I can imagine that if they did, they would appreciate this.
My brother is a truck driver. He would appreciate that. All right. Okay, Leon, you guys ready? Okay, come on, Tracy. Great job.
Okay, so as many know, I can't just go small. So group number 7, please raise your hands. All right. So we took upon ourselves to do 12.
Oh my gosh.
But that's how good we are. So they'll be quick, don't worry, but they're all this good. So where is our prize? Ours is a backpack and a fire truck. So just imagine, we're spitting them off. Portable fire hose backpack, rolling backpack, door stopper backpack, fire truck Stanley Cup, fire truck vacuum, fire truck purse, 2-in-1 detachable book bag, a backpack earrings, Betsy Johnson fans, backpack art, coasters, a camper, and a tiny home. Yeah. Yep. You want me to leave them up here?
Wow, thank you so much. I love it. I love a good earring, let me tell you. Okay, so Zorian, you wanted to come? Okay, all right.
Hello, everyone. For those that don't know me, I'm Zorian. I'm a group mentor and manager. We had a blow dryer, a hair dryer, and a bicycle. I left my notebook. Well, it's fine. I got a good memory. We came up with a motorized bike to where you use the switch from the hair dryer to start and turn off the bike, and use the motor from the hair dryer as a motor on the bicycle. We also came up with a way to disassemble the bike to use it to spin yarn and to also make a windmill, and also a mobile hair drying service.
I love it. Okay. I know our time is running short, and we would like to bring you all together, but here's what I like to do. Everyone, every table created something, right? So I'd like for at least one designee to write down what that idea was, and I will post them for us all to see, because I think every idea should be shared. However, I understand that we have some other things that we should do this morning. Oh, thank you. Okay. You're ahead of the game. Thank you so much. So, you got 12. Okay, you got 12. All right. I will post every last one of them. Oh my gosh. Okay, so, but we're gonna put it out there, okay? So, yeah, you're on the spectrum of turf, yes. So we're gonna bring it right on back to the trust side, okay? So one of the things that we want to wrap up with before we go into our next portion of this meeting, is just bringing it back to our foundation. Right? Bringing all of this back to our values, because our values inform and influence, excuse me, our behavior, right? And our behavior really is what transforms our culture. That's how it develops, that's how it forms, that's how it exists. It's how we approach our work every day, how we interact, how we come together. That is how, and how we display respect to one another, right? How we communicate, all of that is us creating our culture. And so we're wanting to continue to create a culture of collaboration and a culture of respect, okay? And so with that said, we have some departmental pairings, and I'm gonna bring, Kate, are you coming up? Okay. Kate's going to come up and go into more detail about this, and she will share and let you know what's next for us as we move forward in this meeting. Okay.
Okay, for this, we are going to get up and move a little bit. And we put together some departments to just we have 2 questions for discussion. Just to take a little bit of moment today so we can start moving forward, right? They are simple questions. We'll move to that slide in a second. But the pairings are gonna be, and I'm just gonna share like the table zone that you'll be in. So if you can just wait to get up until I talk through these so that everyone's able to hear it well. We're gonna put the enrollment and MASH support team together around table 1-2 zone. That's in this right on up here. So if you are on Becky Simfer's team or Carrie Thompson's team, please head to this zone. Then we're going to have group mentoring and outcomes data. So I know Kaylin's on vacation. Ashley will represent for group mentoring, and Tenley's team at table 4, which is right over here, that zone-ish, right? Pull a chair, do what you need to do. Then we're going to have upward mentoring and big futures. So Jamal and Ebony's team around table 10-ish. I don't know where table 10 is. Right there. So around that zone, and if you report to Jamal or Ebony, head there. Then we're going to have CEO, team, and recruitment. Erica's on a plane right now to Orlando to present at the Big Brothers Big Sisters America conference down there. So Kristen, Erica's team, table 8-ish. And then our ABC Today team and our marketing team. So Megan, Brittany, Quentin around the table 16. So that back of the room, okay? And then we're gonna, I've got 2 questions, or we have 2 questions for you to discuss. We have a piece of paper, just choose one scribe, just to write down some general thoughts. We'll have about 7-ish minutes after you get to your spot. The questions are, what information shared today was useful to you as you think about our growth and change? And what do we need to start doing to help facilitate this growth and change? All right. Okay, we're probably going to come back together in about 1 minute. All right. It is painful to cut off good conversation, and this is just the beginning. So this was just a quick moment to practice thinking together, thinking about envisioning what we can do, because as Ashley started us off, it will take all of us. It will take all of us focused on those expectations that Sarah laid out for us that we'll wrap up with in a minute. Before we do, does anybody have 1 or 2 things they wanted to share of like, here is something we talked about in our group? That'd be great.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brittany. I'm with ABC today. And just a few common themes that we identified from today. Not all programs are the same, but we're being intentional with our impacts because we all have that collective goal. And then really trusting each other, especially when it comes to regional similarities and differences. What we would like to do to start facilitating growth and change, how can we work in collaboration, the marketing and communications department with ABC Today, but other departments, how can we figure out a content calendar, podcasting, involving marketing and communications in our network partner meetings, involving network partners in their voice in the impact of the work, along with emphasizing special collaborations within our community.
Thanks so much, ABC Today and marketing. We have time for one more thought. Anything else burning that you'd like to share? Okay, that'd be awesome. Thanks. Do you mind coming up, Becky? That way Patty and Michael can hear it as well.
Just really quickly, I think something that resonated with me from hearing the feedback from our groups is just carving out time like today for these kind of collaborative spaces. And a lot of what Brittany said and her team came up with, or her group back there came up with, also having visuals to really help us see in a different way what each department does and which each role is responsible for, because then we can also understand on a deeper level how we're all interconnected and where the overlaps are as well.
All righty, thank you all. So again, I'd love to capture all of this information, these great ideas that you all have. So if you could share those with me, and I will post them so everyone can see what was created in our time together, what has been discussed in our time together, and give us some ideas on how we move forward together. So with that said, what we need going forward, and we've talked about this already, These were the, the expectations for playing the Disrupt Us game and moving into collaboration. And we want to revisit this again. So please share your input so that we can move forward in making things better, okay? Also, listen, and listen for understanding and clarity. Seek to understand first, and then we want your voices to be heard. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Make sure that you speak up, that you provide that input. Don't sit on it. We really, really want to hear it because it's like Ashley said it, Kate said it, Kristen said it, Patty said it, I'm saying it. We all move forward better together. We achieve more when we work together that way. And so also we want to be solution focused, right? There's a problem that arises, there's an issue, or we need to resolve something for, maybe it's the agency, maybe it's one of our youth, maybe it's a family, maybe it's one of our stakeholders. Wherever it may be, let's be focused on the solution. And then assume positive intent. And let's all come from the lens of respect. Treat people the way we want to be treated, or maybe even better. Right? And then what you can expect from us. And here is a combination of things. The listening sessions, rather, as well as team workshops. We will come together so that we can hear from you. And also, so we can talk more, go more in depth with collaboration. There is a tool that we will use that we can use individually, we can use with teams, just to see where we are on that collaboration spectrum. Remember we talked about that? And then we can talk about where do we go from here? What do we need to focus on? What do we need to make better? What do we need to stop doing? What do we need to start doing? All that kind of stuff, right? So we can make it better. And you can expect updates and communication from us as a leadership team, that you will receive some information along the way. Realizing that every decision is not going to be made immediately. This is going to take time, as Kate mentioned before. It's going to take time for us to get there, but we will get there, and we'll have intentional success together. Okay? Any questions? No questions? Quiet group. Well, I do want to say, on behalf of the leadership team, we really, really thank you for being here, being attentive, being present, and participating. I love, love, love the ideas. Can't wait to see the rest. And then to find out even more information about your discussion groups that you had, and learning more about what came from those discussions, from those two questions that we posed. And this is going to help inform us on how we move forward and what's next. All righty. So with that said, thank you all. We thank you for all you do every day. Oh, yeah. Wait a minute, let me say something real quick, and I'm going to give you the... Hello, everyone. We have an announcement here. Can I have your attention? I'm sorry. Two things. There's some handouts in the back that's on that little, whatever that is, a counter that's next to the donuts. Those are the visuals that you can take with you, and you can review that and be prepared for your next meeting. With that said, Patty, thank you for joining us. Michael, thank you for joining us. And we have one more announcement.
Y'all, I'm Danielle. For those of you who do not know me, I am meeting with a couple new staff today. Since we're not meeting at the office, we can just meet at one of the tables over here if you don't mind. Thank you.
Thank you all. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, I'll look at it.
Southern Region staff, meet Brittany in the back for your t-shirt. Southern Region staff.